Hello everyone and welcome back. I know it's been a while since I did a fucking review, and it's been long overdue for AEW Dynamite for December 18th, 2019 review. I apologize about the long delay. I've just been extremely busy between work, getting prepared to move out of this apartment I've been living in for about 3 fucking years, and trying to get through this entire show. Not that the show is boring or anything. I just been watching it later on during the night and passing out while trying to watch it because I'm so fucking tired. So I finally got through all of it in the last 2 days, from Thursday to Friday night. And now I can officially give you guys my overall opinion about this show. This show is actually pretty damn good in its own right as well. I have to admit, AEW and NXT were neck and neck with their shows. Pretty solid overall action. I will give it to NXT though, because of the 2 World Championship matches. They were both very exciting and fun to watch. Pete Dunne's match on with Travis Banks was awesome. AEW did well in their own right. Chris Jericho and Jungle Boy, unbelievable match. Match of the night, may I add. Fantastic matchup. Made Jungle Boy look like $1 million. Jericho is funny as hell. And I will mention this. I think Jericho needs to lose some fucking weight. He looks out of shape and looks ridiculous with all the weight he's put on. He does not look fit whatsoever. Now, that may be a little bit picky for me to be saying that, since the man is almost 50 years old. But hey, if you're going to perform in a wrestling ring, look a little like you're in shape and you actually work out and keep in shape. Otherwise, what's the fucking point in being in the ring? You look disgusting. Wrestling-wise, there's no doubt about it, Jericho is one of the best. It's just his body is just not the way it used to be. I used to see him in shape, and he looked fit and prepared for wrestling. He was actually breathing heavy at the end of his match, which I found a little awkward, but hey, I gotta give the guy a little bit of credit. The guy's almost 50 years old, so I gotta be a little lenient towards him. I understand that, but come on. Put a little effort into your work. I mean, you're good in the ring, but you look a little ridiculous with flab hanging off the side of your fucking tights. It looks kind of ridiculous. But whatever. That's just one little thing I'll pick on. But outside of the rest of that, the rest of the show is pretty solid. A lot of tag team wrestling. Man. One of which that kicked off the show was Lucha Brothers versus the Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. This matchup, I gotta say, this match was a lot of fun to watch. These guys put it all in the ring here, and I have nothing to complain about. A great way to open up the show, and overall, this was a 3.5 out of 5-star matchup. A very solid tag team. We're slowly but surely seeing some building blocks towards Adam Page becoming a heel. Surprisingly enough. I don't quite understand. Especially with the fact that Hangman Page got a win over Pac at the Full Gear pay-per-view. If they were going to do that, why not go ahead? If they were going to go ahead and make Hangman Page a heel, why not give Pac the win instead? That would have made a lot more sense than making Pac lose. That made no sense to me whatsoever. Still scratching my head to this day since that event to why they gave Page the win over Pac. It made no sense to me whatsoever. What they're doing right now makes a lot of sense with Hangman Page. He's developing a little bit of an attitude. Him and Kenny Omega are bumping heads, which isn't normal for them to be doing. And they're not a cohesive unit. They're really having a lot of issues with each other. Especially even with the win from last week. Which was very surprising that Hangman Page just tagged himself in out of fucking nowhere and just kind of acted as if Kenny Omega didn't exist. In this matchup, Hangman Page spent most of the match hanging outside the ring and laying out, pretending he was injured or something. Kenny Omega, though, did pick up most of the work in this match and did a very fantastic job as usual. Kenny Omega is one of the greats of professional wrestling in today's wrestling, so I gotta give them credit. After the match, we got a little bit of a... Sorry about that, I was trying to wipe something off the screen. After the match, we had a little bit of a storyline development between Pac and Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega's best friend was Michael Nakazawa's back was actually turned when the door was opened, and Pac goes in there, going ahead and going shh, as if he's like Elmer Fudd hunting for rabbits. I have no fucking idea what that gesture was, but whatever. As they go to break, we're watching it from a split screen. You can see Kenny Omega's trying to find his best friend. Hangman Page follows along with him. Before that happened, they were shoving, but now they're kind of like getting along, hoping that Kenny's friend is not injured or hurt by Pac, and they couldn't find him. He was just magically disappeared. So that was kind of awkward. Then we actually see Darby Allin heading out where he's going to actually join forces with Cody Rhodes. Now, this matchup with Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin was a tag team match against the Butcher and the Blade, which, by the way, I want to mention, JR has been botching. I can't really just say just JR, but the entire announce team, especially in this episode, was probably one of the worst announcing ever done by AEW so far. I think maybe. If somebody else has a different opinion, let me know on that. But me personally, I thought that this was a little fucked up. Fucking not Michael Cole. What the fuck am I saying that? Jim Ross. How dare I call Jim Ross Michael Cole? That is fucking horrendous. Jim Ross actually goes ahead and accidentally calls the Blade, or actually accidentally calls the Butcher the Blade, and they have a miscue there. I think Excalibur is the one that corrects Jim Ross on that and informs him, hey, that's actually the Butcher, not the Blade. And he goes, oh yeah, that's right. If you can see on their tights that it says the Butcher and the Blade, so you know the difference between the two. And it's like, I don't know if this is part of the act, or this is Jim Ross just making mistakes by accident. If it's done on purpose, I don't know why they would do that, giving like no credibility to the Butcher and the Blade with the bunny. Makes no fucking sense to me. Now, the point of this match was to help Cody get revenge on Butcher and the Blade, and if Darby Allin helped Cody and they won, they get the opportunity to challenge each other, and Darby Allin would get the rematch that he had from Fyter Fest, where they ended up having a draw, which was fucking unbelievable match, may I add. So to see these two guys compete later on in the future one-on-one will be extremely exciting to watch. Now, Cody and Darby Allin win this match, of course. I don't think they would add this stipulation in and not have them win. The match itself, the in-ring work was fantastic. It was just as good as Kenny Omega and Hangman Page versus the Lucha Brothers. And this match was very similar to that in some ways. The action, the pace, everything really matched up with the original tag team match that opened up the show. So, I'm impressed with this match as well. 3.5 out of 5 stars. Darby Allin performed well. Cody was on his game as usual. And the match ended with a cross. He pretty much goes ahead and hits a Cody cutter on the blade and covers. And Cody and Darby Allin get the win. And that's how the match ends. So that's pretty much it. We then have a match with, well, we get a video package of shown of Jungle Boy preparing for his match against Chris Jericho, where Jericho's saying, you couldn't last with me for 10 whole minutes, and blah, 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 and whatever. Awesome Kong has a match with some local talent. She beats the shit out of her, spinning back fist, follows it up with a face plant and a cover for the win. Big deal. Who gives a shit? Don't even remember it. I think I skipped that match. So post-match, the Nightmare Collective cut some of the local talent's hair off. Wow, whoop-de-fucky-do. After that, quick match, a clip is shown of Ross interviewing Jungle Boy before his big match, and his match against Le Champion, Chris Jericho, is next. Now, within this whole interview that Ross gives him, he kind of asks him about his dad and what his dad would think about the steps he's taken in his career so far and where he's gotten, and just being able to face Chris Jericho, would his dad be proud of him just now at this point in his career? And Jungle Boy goes on to say, yes, my dad would be extremely proud of me. I think that this is a huge step for me, that he feels that his dad would be extremely proud of him. Facing Chris Jericho is just as good as actually winning the World Heavyweight Championship at this point. Kind of how he was putting it. Not his exact words. I'm just kind of making it like, hey, I won a World Championship just being able to have the ability to face Jericho one-on-one even for 10 minutes. And let me put it to you this way, guys. Jungle Boy in this matchup one-on-one with Chris Jericho was unfucking believable. Jungle Boy, I don't know if Jungle Boy is as good as he appears with Jericho, or Jericho made Jungle Boy look that good. I have no idea. But I have seen Jungle Boy perform. His name is a little goofy. I think it's not a name that he needs to continue with when he moves further up in the ranks of this company, if he does. So I don't see him as a guy with that kind of name being a main eventer. I think that would be ridiculous. As a tag team wrestler and a tag team champion, he could get away with that. But world champion, no. I don't think that that's a great idea to have that kind of name. It just seems a little ridiculous. It's like having fucking Fandango as a name as a world champion. That's just sick. Not saying Jungle Boy is that bad, but the name Jungle Boy just, to me, is not a main event world champion. Come on, let's get real. They need to come up with a better name for him. His ring attire is also a little cheesy as well. Personally, I'm not saying that he's a horrible wrestler. By any means am I saying that. But the look of him is not a main eventer look. He is a tag team wrestler specialist at this point. If they keep him with that name in the tag team division, I am fine with that. And I think that's a good place for him right now in his career. I believe the guy is in his early 20s, maybe early to mid-20s. And if that's the case, by all means, staying in the tag team division for a few years wouldn't do him any harm. Eventually breaking out on his own, maybe turning into a heel and becoming a main eventer, that would be an awesome way to bring him into as a singles competitor. But for him to be a world champion as the name Jungle Boy, I think is ridiculous. But hey, that's just my opinion on that. So let me just go over some of the highlights of this matchup just to give you guys some insight, because I do feel that this was the match of the night on this show. So Jungle Boy rolls Jericho up. Jericho rolls out in time, and Jungle Boy with an overhand chop. Springboard arm drag. Jungle Boy with a Rana roll-up pin. Jericho rolls out. Jericho throws down multiple chops. Jungle Boy strikes Jericho in the midsection. Jericho sends Jungle Boy into the ropes and follows it up with a code breaker. Instantaneously. Jericho takes this match very lightly as well, which is a very stupid mistake. Both Adam Cole and Jericho in their matches were... Actually, it wasn't Adam Cole. I'm sorry. Both Shayna Baszler and Jericho took their opponents very lightly and talked too much shit and did not go for the kill. That is one of the things these two competitors in their matches did not do here. So Jungle Boy's family is in the audience, cheering him on, and Jericho covers Jungle Boy, and he kicks out. Jericho sends Jungle Boy over the top rope at this point. Hager is actually on the outside and attacks Jungle Boy. Luchasaurus and Hager start to brawl. This matchup, Luchasaurus and Hager, really needs to happen at Revolutions. Because these two guys, I could see a good wild card match between these two turning out to be a fantastic matchup between them. Marco Stunt also goes over to help his friends and gets taken out by Hager with a hard punch. Eventually, all three of them get ejected from the matchup, and it's just Jungle Boy and Jericho at this point. So Jungle Boy flies through the bottom rope, then does it again and again. The fans are clapping and cheering as loud as they can for Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy with a flying DDT cover. Jericho kicks out. Jericho with an Irish whip. Jungle Boy reverses with a backstabber. Cover. Jericho kicks out again. Jericho goes for a foot choke hold. The fans boo loudly. Jungle Boy gets up and lands a few shots on Jericho. Jericho power bombs. Follows it up with a Lion Tamer Walls of Jericho type maneuver. 1 minute is left. Jungle Boy is crawling over to the bottom rope and doesn't get there. Jericho moves Jungle Boy back to the center of the ring in the Lion Tamer's position for 10 seconds that are left. Time actually expires and Jungle Boy did not tap out. Jericho grabs a microphone and says he wants 5 more minutes on the clock. He's upset about this. He didn't put him away. It ended up being 10 minutes. So that was that. Jericho heads back to the ring and palm strikes Jungle Boy multiple times. Jungle Boy gets up and lands a Hurricanrana cover. Jericho kicks out though. Jericho rolls out of the ring, grabs his title, and leaves the matchup altogether. During the commercial break, Jericho comes back down to the ring and starts throwing chairs and yells at Jungle Boy's family in front of the in the front row. He leaves once again, yells at the audience, blah blah blah, and Jungle Boy lasted the 10 minutes, so it ended up being a draw. Shivani meets Jericho though at the top of the ramp. Jericho refuses to believe that Jungle Boy lasted 10 minutes. He said, "No, I said that he couldn't beat me." And Tony Schiavone and Jericho had a funny little childish yes-no back and forth with each other. And that was pretty much that. I give that match a 4 out of 5 stars. Fantastic match by Jungle Boy and Jericho. I enjoyed this immensely throughout this entire show out of everything that was shown as for wrestling matches go. So they go back and forth saying that, no, I didn't say that he couldn't last 10 minutes. They said he couldn't beat me. And Tony Schiavone comes back with, yes, you did. And he goes, no, I don't. No, yes, I did. Yes, you did. Blah, blah, blah. So Jericho then says, the more important thing is to discuss about Jon Moxley. And he actually makes a very funny comment, Jericho, to Tony Schiavone. I forgot how he said it. he said, no, I didn't, Shinavi, or whatever. It changed, kind of altered or modified his name in a very funny manner. I thought it was fucking great. I gotta get Jericho credit. If he doesn't, he may not look fit for a wrestler, but my God, he sounds so fucking funny. If he could be just a commentator, it would be fine with me. Because he still has the mic skills to blow anybody away outside of The Rock. I mean, he is second best when it comes to the microphone skills because of The Rock. If The Rock never existed in professional wrestling, he'd have been one of the greatest microphone guys on the planet shooting a promo. I think he's fucking awesome. But Jericho then turns his attention to discussing about Jon Moxley. Like, we believe that Jon Moxley is actually going to join the Inner Circle. Get the fuck out of here. So Jericho and the Inner Circle have the surprise for Moxley on January 1st. He hopes that Moxley will make the right decision and say yes to joining the Inner Circle, and wishing him a happy and Merry Christmas and see you next year kind of thing. So we're going to get some kind of response towards this offer, and more than likely, I highly doubt, we will see Jon Moxley join forces with the Inner Circle. Highly doubt any of that's going to happen. So we get Brett Baker versus Chris Statlander. This matchup, I will say, probably was one of the better women's matches on this entire show since its inception on television. This was a very decent match. I enjoyed watching it. Chris Statlander wins this match and picks up the victory to be a number one contender for the Women's Championship on January 1st. My thoughts? I say you give her the fucking title. She displayed a lot of great wrestling ability here. Brett Baker and her had great chemistry in the middle of this ring. I will say these two women deserve to have another match, and with it being the Women's Championship. So give Chris Statlander the fucking Women's Championship already. Fuck Riho. She hasn't done jack shit outside of defend her title a few times, and that's it. We need to see Chris Statlander as the Women's Champion. She has the look. She has the attitude. She's got a really off-the-wall gimmick, as if she's some kind of alien who can't talk or something like that. I don't fucking know. But her in-ring ability is fucking great. She's got a storyline with a major faction in the women's division, which I think will bring out the best in her as well. This could spell out good things for her. Really, I believe that full-heartedly. I think that she could be a cornerstone or the main centerpiece of this women's division because of what she provided in this match. Now, granted, she's still got a lot more to prove to me, but out of everybody in the bunch, she's one of the better ones out of the bunch. Just saying. I give this match a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Chris Statlander wins, beats Brett Baker. Post-match, though, it turns out that she gets attacked by fucking Brandy Rhodes. Brandy Rhodes goes ahead, hits her in the eye with the bottom of her heel. Brandy Rhodes has really turned into crap. I don't know what the fuck she's doing, why she's part of this group, why she even formed this group to begin with. Makes absolutely no fucking sense. So Shawn Spears and Tully Blanchard are backstage and want to find a guy that can be molded and can work well with Spears and Blanchard. They're going to keep scouting for the right guy. Basically, Shawn Spears was looking like to me that they were trying to push him into the tag team division. And granted, we all can admit that AEW has been pushing tag team wrestling a lot on their program in many different matches, even tag teams that aren't even a tag team. So tag team wrestling is a very focal point of this show. So most definitely, Shawn Spears, with having nothing going on as a singles competitor at this point, I think him being in the tag team division could help him out a lot. Him getting a tag team championship run would be great for him at this point. I could see him taking the titles off of SCU, but there is one more tag team that should take the tag team titles off of SCU. And I'll mention that after I discuss the main event. By the way, Chris Statlander and Brett Baker was a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Nothing really was low on my scoring system here. Every match seemed pretty decent and well worth your time to watch outside of Awesome Kong, which is a fucking joke. So the next match is the main event. Now, we do get a video package of the Young Bucks discussing about their feelings and how they feel like they have not lived up to the expectations of being this great tag team that they have displayed in many other organizations. In AEW, they have been struggling. They're like 50-50. They're winning sometimes, they're losing sometimes, and going back and forth. But they have not found a winning streak going forward to be a contender for the tag team titles. Granted, they did win a number 1 contenders match against the Pride and Powerful with Santana and Ortiz last week. Now, there was a mention in this matchup before the match even started by Jim Ross, which I think was awesome. A very, very key point. And just to throw this out there before I even go into the results, SCU actually, or into the matchup itself, SCU actually does beat the Young Bucks in this tag team match. And Jim Ross did mention something that is a very good key point here to why Young Bucks lost this match. And it makes logical sense. Even though, yes, the show is fixed, it is set up to be a win and a loser, but a winner and a loser, but he mentions they were in a street fight last week with the Pride and Powerful with Santana and Ortiz. Why wouldn't they just postpone this match till January 1st on New Year's Day? Instead of putting themselves behind the 8 ball, where they put themselves through agonizing pain. They're probably still fatigued and banged up from that match from last week. Why would they take a chance of losing an opportunity to win the World Tag Team titles in AEW? I totally agree with that comment. That was wonderful, wonderful commentary by Jim Ross. Whoever gave him that line to say that, or if that was just him himself, kudos to whoever came up with that idea, because that made logical sense to them losing. It made perfect sense. Now, throughout the entire show, we actually keep seeing little drops of Dark Order. Join darkorder.com. Picture of the guy with the mask over his face. Popping up during Kenny Omega and Adam Page's tag team match with the Lucha Brothers. All kinds of shit going on throughout the entire show. And then finally, after the match ended and we had the SCU retain the tag team titles, we had the Dark Order show up out of nowhere. And instead of recruiting anybody, they say it's time to do a, whatchamacallit? Shit. When you go ahead and you put somebody into a, it's a I forgot the fucking initiation. Excuse me. It was an initiation hit on SCU and the Young Bucks for Alex Reynolds and John Silver, who were unmasked with all the other creepers that they They claimed them to be creepers instead of minions. I don't know why, but whatever. So they called them the Creepers with the Dark Order, and Alex Reynolds and John Silver were unmasked, going after, and then they also had the Page, Omega, Cody, Dustin Rhodes. They made their way down to the ring to fight, and the Dark Order overcame them and beat the shit out of them. The Creepers then just can't be stopped, and they dominated the entire post part of the match. At the end, they all stood tall in front of the Young Bucks, and the other tag team partners were like kind of thrown out of the ring, and that was pretty much that. With Alex Reynolds and John Silver putting on their masks and now becoming part of the Dark Order, and that's how the show goes off the air. I am actually liking the Dark Order. When they initially got started, I hated their fucking guts, but this gimmick I am enjoying very much. It gives them purpose and reasoning to be there. They are trying to bring about a faction of people who are felt like to be outcasts and aren't belonging or down on their luck. And they bring them into this group, making them feel as if they're part of a family instead of an outcast. I think that's an awesome idea. It brings about purpose for this tag team. And not to mention, it makes them a very powerful tag team for whoever goes ahead and gets the opportunity to beat them for the tag team titles. Because I will be honest with you, the way things look like, the way things are shaping up to be, I honestly feel that the Dark Order are going to be the next tag team to take the tag team titles off of SCU, and eventually we're going to see some tag team that's going to beat the Dark Order for the tag team titles. Who do I believe should be that tag team? I would like to see the Young Bucks at least get one reign as the AEW World Tag Team Champions. They're one of the best tag teams in professional wrestling today, and even though they have aged over time and they've been around for a while, I still say they're one of the better tag teams in professional wrestling. So personally, I honestly would like to see them be the team to beat them, but you also got to look at something else. What is the best thing for them to do? Help them build a young tag team that hasn't really gotten a lot of recognition to beat this team. If they build them up into the super big tag team in the tag team division, or go ahead and go with the Young Bucks, who will get a big moment out of it, number one, and number two, finally get a tag team title reign and get revenge on these motherfuckers. I don't know. I think either way you could go with it, but I think you want to enhance your talent more than focusing on the Young Bucks getting revenge. So you probably would want to go on a young tag team. I think maybe the Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus winning the tag team titles over the Dark Order would be the best thing for them to do, especially for the tag team division. I mean, you could go with the Lucha Brothers, but Lucha Brothers are playing these heel characters that I'm not getting behind very much. I like what they were portraying in Impact Wrestling. Here, I mean, they're still the same Lucha Brothers, but they don't have any sportsmanship. And I don't see them as a tag team that has no sportsmanship. They don't seem to be classless guys. So I don't particularly like the gimmick they're portraying here. I think it absolutely sucks. But overall, guys, I mean, this was a solid show. I enjoyed watching it. I'm very sorry that it took me this long to do this review. But finally I did. Tomorrow or Sunday, I will be uploading another video, Random Wrestling Talk episode number 25. I will be doing that with my best friend Matthew, which we have not done in quite a while. It's going to be based on WrestleMania 36 and the proper card that we should have the ability to watch on the WWE Network and live in front of Raymond James Stadium, since I'm going to be there. I'd like to do that. But yeah, I really think that we deserve a really legit WrestleMania card, and just for fantasy booking purposes only, I'm going to go ahead and do that with my friend, and we're going to upload that video for you guys and give you guys our opinions on that. Anyway, guys, I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review. Hit the like button if you did. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel, of course. And leave a comment down below, and I'll get back to you on that. And I thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.